Good afternoon, cowboys, cowgirls, and outlaws. Welcome to this day's live stream. If you've been tuning in for the last week, you know that we have had one live stream per day, starting on Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, we had our Equipment Mondays. Tuesday, we had our Historic Tuesdays. And today is going to be our Funny or Get to Know Me Wednesdays. So, first things first, just to let you know, I got my cup of coffee here. It is a local coffee shop, so I'm sorry for this being a little late in the day. I had a few things that I need to take care of, but what can I say? I'm here. So if you're stay tuned for this, and if you're tuning in to this live stream, thank you very much. And this will be quite interesting because basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and present to you a funny story, or what I think is kind of a funny story or a funny fact, for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions that are either personal or having to do with the story that I went ahead and told you. So while we're doing this live stream, make sure that you guys ask your questions in the comment section. Feel free to say hi to me and all that good stuff, and I will definitely see if I can answer those questions for you. I'm going to have at least 3 questions, hopefully, to be answered. And hopefully we'll take about 5 minutes to do that. So, hopefully you guys have your coffee with you. I know I've got mine. But, one of the things that I'd say is kind of funny about me, for sure, is the fact that in the Western shooting sports, I have a lot of different guns. And if you've been tuning it all into my YouTube channel, you've been seeing that. So I will definitely say that one of the things that's kind of interesting about me when it comes to shooting matches is I like to test out a variation of guns. And those of you who have actually shot with me know that I don't bring just one gun to a match. I kind of have to bring all of them. So, for example, not trying to get out, give too much people too much information, but who cares? I have a lot of guns, in the double digits, and for those of you who can attest to that, or, sympathize with that, or identify with that, whatever you want to call it, you can identify with having to maintain all those guns all at once, or whenever you use them, making sure that you take care of them. Sometimes you have a tendency to go nuts over them, because, wait a minute, is it like, did I clean this gun? Did I clean that gun? Did I do it last week, this week? Sometimes it gets a little confusing, but, usually what I come down doing is I clean guns once a month, essentially, just kind of rub them down, if nothing else. No pun intended there. Anyway, so, one of the things that I like to do at my matches is I like to bring all these different guns, and I like to shoot one gun per match, and I usually try to do it in some kind of sequence, like usually in the time frame in which they were made. So usually I'll start out with my Spencer if I'm feeling interesting. And let me tell you, the Spencers are quite fun to operate on the clock, especially when you have to do a reload. So I usually start out with that. I work my way up to my 1860 Henry, off to my 1866 improved, the improved Henry, and then do my 1873, and then I pretty much cycle it back on over. The pistols, I don't really do that too much. But one of the things that kind of happened that was interesting about me having so many guns is you have to be very careful when it comes to loading ammunition for them, because I don't know about you, but some guns that you're going to have, they don't all take the same caliber. Well, if you have like a 45 Colt and a 4440, sometimes you have a tendency to forget which one you're bringing. So I've accidentally attempted to load 45 Colt into a 4440 because my pistols were chambered in 45 Colt, my rifle was in 4440. That didn't work out too well, specifically when the rounds fit into the magazine tube, especially like on my Henry, but then they don't fit into the chamber, and so that causes a bit of a problem. So basically I'm very meticulous for that reason, because I accidentally loaded a 45 Colt, or tried to, and just could potentially be a dangerous situation. So, you know, that's something that can happen, especially if you have one too many guns that you bring to a match. And it's also extremely important to make sure that you try and buy everything in the same caliber if at all possible. So that's what I was doing. You know, I try to stick with the same caliber. So with that being said, you know, I also kind of have gotten the comment or the reputation that I'm no longer Slick Sixguns. I'm actually Slick 17 Guns. So, you know, this is meant to be funny. I'm not a comedian, but if you find this funny, please give me a like, you know, or a love, or share. I might share some subtle undertones of humor with you. If you get it, great. If you don't, I guess that went over your head. Let's see. I've also had instances where I have forgotten to load or loaded an extra round into the chamber. You know, on some matches, sometimes that happens, or you jack one out. Shouldn't have said that. Anyway, or you pop one out of the chamber, and it has a tendency to, you know, mess up your round count, or you miss a target or whatever. I've done that before. My funny thing that I witnessed at a match was definitely, if you've ever seen someone under stress for time and they're going as fast as they can, they're not too familiar with the guns they've got. I've actually seen a few people shoot stages instead of targets. That was kind of funny because, you know, it ends up being a stage DQ sometimes, or usually a stage DQ, more for a safety issue than anything else. You know, sometimes it depends on the club you're with when it comes to that. So, you know, that's kind of funny. Let's see, what else? No one's answered my question on what kind of coffee you guys like yet. I really would like to know. You know, some people, if you go to different stores, you know, some people don't buy from certain stores for certain reasons, whatever. It's coffee, so, you know, buy what you want when you want it. I like to buy local. That's just me. I try to stay away from the big name stores, just because I've actually found that local brewed coffee actually has a tendency to taste a little better. And I'm sure it's like diapers. It depends. You know. So, I'm trying to get these live streams to actually happen a little bit more in the mornings. I know that, you know, some of them have been more towards midday, so sometimes I get some people on their lunch break or not. And, you know, if you're not on your lunch break, or if you're at work or something, some of you are retired, tired and retired, I guess. You know, so you have a chance to pretty much view me whenever you want. Unfortunately, this was the only time that I could get today, so that's why I'm here at this hour. But, you know, who wants to have coffee in midday when I'm sure they've already had their coffee in the morning? But I'm one of those people that I'm not only solar powered, but I'm also coffee powered, and there's nothing wrong with having more than one cup of coffee per day. And if you happen to have it during the middle of the day, it doesn't matter, you know, as long as it just keeps you going, which, you know, sometimes I'm only running on a few hours of sleep some days. So, you know, for those of you that work odd hours, which I do, you can kind of identify with that. Let's see, I hope you guys ended up tuning into the live stream yesterday, in which I talked about the James Younger gang and the Northfield raid. That was pretty interesting. Um, you know, the most of the funny stories I usually have about myself are, when it comes to my kid, because if you have a 2-year-old kid or something like that, and yes, I have a child, if you guys haven't already noticed, um, he's a very rambunctious kid, and he's a lot of fun. They keep you young, and I never thought that it would be that much fun to be a dad. So, more power to you if you got children still in the house or grandchildren. He's a boy, so, he's pretty rambunctious. He's my first kid, so that's another challenge all in itself. So that's interesting. He's a pretty tough kid. I'll say that. Not because, he's not mean or anything. I never try to teach my kid to be mean, never try to teach him to bully anyone. But the fact is, we just don't worry about certain things. Like if he falls down and cries or gets hurt, it's kind of like get up, shake it off, and and he's getting over that. He's definitely getting past the stage where everything was hurting, and now, he falls down, he goes boom, he just pops back up like he's Gumby, which is kind of funny to see, because, he'll take some pretty nasty falls too sometimes. So, which, as a parent, that kind of makes you hurt a little bit when you see your kid fall down, but it's an important learning lesson for them, and it's kind of what you have to take it as. I know that has nothing to do with cowboy action shooting, and I don't know if it's really that funny, but one of the funny things my kid likes to do is he likes to jump up and down on the bed like it's a trampoline. In fact, I can even remember when I was a kid, that was something I used to do. I used to do somersaults on the bed, much to the chagrin of my parents here, which if they're watching, I'm sure they remember those days. Although, rather than having some 40 to 50 pound kid doing somersaults on the bed, now I'm like 250 pounds, so that would break the bed for sure, especially if it's a wooden frame or something. Yeah, I think I've broken a couch or two like that usually. So anyway, favorite coffee shop, let me know. If you got kids, great. Let me know that too. Not that I really care to know, but I'm just kidding. Share some information with me. Like I said, this is a chance for you to get to know me to get to know you as a viewer. This will only go on for a couple more minutes. I promise. I'm not going to torture you too much longer, so you can get back to your day. Maybe I'll even come up with some jokes or something. I kind of had a hard time, quite frankly, coming up with a topic to talk about, because I began to think about how funny my life is, and really it isn't that funny, I guess. There are some things that are funny, but, when I try to think of them, it's like, you randomly think of something funny that happened. That's when it's funny. When you intentionally try to think about it, it doesn't really come across as that funny. So, I don't know how comedians end up doing it. But that's not my strong suit. Either way, I think it's something important to bring into conversation is humor. So, I try to bring a little humor into this, and, this can change at some point if this really isn't what people want, but, for all intents and purposes, like I said, this is just me to get to know you guys. We're kind of coming up on our 10 minutes here of conversation. I'm still open to any questions that anyone might have, comments, concerns. No, you don't have to worry about me. I'm not going crazy here. I'm just talking, rambling on with the topics. Tomorrow is going to be Controversial Thursday. I have yet to decide what we're going to talk about. I have a few things that I might come up with here. Once again, those of you who are watching, I don't think it's going to be anything on politics Quite frankly, I want to stay away from it, especially with my niche or genre in my channel. It has to do with Western stuff. So it's going to be mostly Western, gun-related, equipment-related, controversial stuff, like what should you bring to a range or whatnot, a match. Why are certain things allowed? Why are certain things not? Military history or just Western history in general. A lot of what-if hypothetical stuff. I think that'd be kind of interesting. If you're into that, I'd go ahead and stay tuned for the next episode. So, do I have any questions, comments, concerns at all? Not really getting any. That's okay. I'm going to sit here and enjoy my coffee. It's it's a latte, basically, Yes, foo-foo coffee for those of you who are going to criticize me for it. So, yeah. I like lattes. They're great. It's got some sugar, some milk. All around good stuff. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and get out of your hair. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Controversial Thursdays. And we're going to give that one a shot. No pun intended.